do you remember that amazing apple crumble I made? Okay, that was Chef Paul. So it was one way to make the most of apple season, but Shoana's back now with more ideas because 'tis the season to grab those apples and have some fun with it, and it can be a whole experience. Apple picking?
We are so, for starters, I love fall. It's, I think it's my favorite season.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah, I like all 4 seasons, but fall, cozy, more, what's your first?
Summer.
Yeah, I could have guessed that.
Girl.
I could have guessed that, So one of the really terrific things that we can do at this time of year in the fall is all things apple. And we're so lucky living here in Canada. We have access to so much produce, and even if you live in an urban center, it's not that far to get to farmland or to growing areas to have a day trip. I mean, pack a picnic, have a day trip, and hit a farmer's stand,
That's right.
or an orchard, an apple orchard, and go apple picking. And listen, the photo ops for the gram are unlimited, so you're going to have content for years.
You absolutely are. Like, I'm a big apple girl. I have an apple every single day, usually a gala apple every single day.
I love that.
I love them. They're portable, they're easy, they crunch, which I love. So there's so many varieties out there that you can have some fun with, and you've brought a few varieties here.
It is, and one thing I really want to encourage you, when you go to the orchard or to the grower, to the farm stand, wherever you're buying your apples, or even if you're just going to the grocery store at this time of the year, take a look. Look, if you have the access to talk to the grower, talk to the people that work in the farms. For starters, see the amount of work that goes into it. Pick an apple off the tree. Like, know where your food comes from. We all are far more interested in that more than ever. And so it'll really change your perspective. And when you're doing that, whether it's, like I said, at an orchard or the grocery store, go outside the box and experiment with different apples. There are oodles and oodles and oodles of different kinds of apples, and they can be so different.
Yeah, they are very different. I went through a Granny Smith phase, and it's like, who was I at that time in my life? Very tart. I think I liked that. Maybe I needed to be like slapped across the face every day. And now I've moved to gala. So yeah, there's so many different flavors that you can get and different textures.
Different textures, different flavors, different sweetness, different tartness, like you spoke on. Different uses. Some apples lend a little bit better for, baking, let's say, for making apple crumble. Although I'm not a stickler on that. In my opinion, when you're cooking apples, you want to kind of break them down anyway. So choose the apple that you love. But experiment with them.
But experiment and have some fun with them. Okay, so let's talk about storing them.
Yes, so one of the wonderful things about apples, they have a really long lifespan.
They sure do.
They're fantastic. So if you do have the opportunity to go somewhere and you want to buy them in a little bit of bulk, go ahead. And as long as you put them in your apple crisper, as long as you, put them in your crisper in your fridge. Those drawers are there for a reason. And actually, a lot of refrigerators now have little additions, and if yours doesn't, you can buy them like third party. Little things you can put in that are packages that help remove the gas that the fruits and vegetables to make them last longer. But the tip is, if you don't want to go that far, if you want to store them for a long time, they need to be cold. And you want to put a barrier between each of the apples. So with a paper towel or a tea towel, what have you, just wrap them up so they have their own little individual nook. And you're doing that so the gases don't go to each other and accumulate and then make them go bad faster.
And not only do you not want apple to apple getting too involved with each other, you don't want your apples getting involved with anything else. Like, they'll ruin everything, right?
Yes, they can.
If you put your carrots there beside them, they'll ruin your carrots. Like, everyone's got to have their own
Everyone needs their own space. Their happy bed.
Meanwhile,
put them to bed.
I need you all to know that I buy the big bag of apples and I put them all in my fridge in the bag. So I'm telling you what I don't do.
But
like, I do it wrong.
You probably do what most people do, though. So
I just leave it in the bag, and
now
it's
you know a little better. If you eat yours so quickly that it's not an issue. But if you're someone who doesn't, then now you know how to make them last that much longer.
Totally. It's a smart thing to do because also, hello, expensive. Do not waste your food. It's too much money.
Very.
So definitely separating them is a really good tip. And you've got a bunch of different ways to use your apples.
Yeah, and so also when you're experimenting, you're dipping your toe into different types of apples. Also think of cooking. I mean, listen, head to the Cityline website. We've got recipes plenty. And look at ones that use apples, whether it be, yes, you will go ahead and make that apple pie. I mean, you make that pie and love it and put all your heart and soul into it. I'm not going to say don't make an apple pie. Actually, my husband Greg would be very upset if I said that. He's a pie guy.
Yeah.
But think outside the box. You know that
dehydrator.
Dehydrator? I almost said dehumidifier. You know that, thanks for that.
Same.
Yeah. You know that dehydrator you got as a gift, maybe a Christmas gift, and you did the 1 or 2 things with it, you don't know what else?
Yeah.
Do apples. They last forever. They're a super sweet treat. Buy the really sweet apples.
Yes.
They're a great treat. They last for a long, long time, and all the extra when you buy, apple chips, exactly. Think about chutneys and relishes, things like that, jams even, and then go savory like cider braised short ribs or something along those lines.
Yeah,
you know,
that sounds
so
good.
really give it a Google, jump on the website and look up, get inspired.
Lastly, you can also drink your apples.
Yes, cold pressed apple cider, hot apple cider by the fire, and even adult version of apple ciders, hard ciders they're called.
Yeah.
And they're made from apples too, and they just have alcohol in them, so you can enjoy them all sorts of different ways this season.
Any way you want, in a pie or in your alcohol. I love it, Shoana. Very nice. Go and enjoy your apples, and we are going to break, but we'll be right back.